I'd like to thank everybody for joining me today, and today I'm going to do a video on how to flint knap a little saw blade. I believe these little saws would come in handy in a survival type situation if you were to kill an animal and you need to skin it out and cut up the meat. A lot of times there's some bones and stuff that a person can't break, so something like this here, a man could take and saw through the bone. And this is also another example of one that I flint knapped some teeth into, and I broke some of the teeth off because I was sawing through some wood. It did saw through some small branches that I was sawing on, and I think this would be a really handy tool to know how to make, and it's fairly easy to make. And I don't have very good flint knapping skills. Some of these or all of these right here are some that I've flint knapped, but I'm still learning, and I'm a firm believer the more you do, the more you learn. And I just figured I'd make a video and share a little bit of what I've been learning and what I've figured out so far. It seems the more that I practice with it and the more I try, the better understanding I have on how the certain types of rocks fracture, and it seems to make it a little easier the more I do. So starting out, I would recommend basically, starting out with fairly thin flakes, like some of these here. These are real thin. A person wouldn't have to spend a whole lot of time to flint, well, I don't know about that one, but wouldn't have to spend a whole lot of time, flint knapping it down to make it a usable point. And unless you've got years and years and years of skill, accumulated to where you can just make them all perfect and pretty, if you're just starting out, you can't really expect it to be perfect and real pretty. It takes practice and practice and practice to make them, really, really pretty. But basically, if you're in a survival type situation, it don't have to be perfect and pretty. You just need something, that a person could use. And most of the time you can take a big core rock and break it up, just sit down and break a whole bunch of flakes off, and you can go through your flakes, and those thin flakes, a person could flint knap down a whole lot easier than trying to flint knap from a big rock. So, but today I'm going to show you how to make a little saw blade. It's pretty easy to learn. I tried finding a longer piece, but this is the longest straight edge that I had. Basically, you want to look for something that's got like a flat on one side, and that tapers down to like a knife edge, kind of. I don't know if you can see that. Tapers down. This way here, with having a flat edge on here, you can kind of hold it and use it for sawing through like that. Just like these. You could saw through it. So let me start here, and we'll work this edge down. Like I said, it's pretty easy, and we'll make us a little saw blade. I recommend everybody to wear eye protection, so I'm putting on my glasses, because these have a tendency to chip off little flakes and fly everywhere, and you don't want to get any flakes or little slivers in your eye. That wouldn't be good. So I think this will be an alright candidate to experiment on, and see if I can share a little something with you. So first off, what we're going to do, if you're new to this, what you want to do is on the very edge, you want to put pressure on the very edge and press straight down, kind of snap it down. and most people use deer antlers or copper rods. This just happens to be a brass rod that I had. Excuse me. This happens to be a brass rod that I had, and I'm just don't make much difference in a survival type situation. You could use a nail, you could use a stick, deer antlers, you could use bones, you could use other stones if you had to. You could use the tip of your pocket knife. Either way, I think flint napping, or in knowing how to, get the general shape and and flint knap down a little bit of an edge, to where you can have a usable tool to work with, is pretty good knowledge to have. So I'll stop rambling, and we'll see if we can make this into a little saw edge. So I'm going to start on the very back, and like I said, I'm just going to press down. You want to leave a little bit of gap in between the two, each ridge. You want to leave a little bit of gap when you start the next one. Leave a little bit of gap to start the next one. Like I said, these are fairly easy to make, and it don't take very long to make them. And basically what you want to do is flip it over. After you've worked it down from one side, you want to flip it over and then work the same grooves back down. And we'll do that real quick. And there you have it. You got yourself a little saw blade. And it didn't take but just a couple minutes. In a survival type situation, that's just a flake off the ground. That right there would just turned into a usable tool. See where it shows up the best. Sometimes the camera angles don't come out quite right on this. You can see teeth pretty good on that one. And you can take it like that. And got a little bit of a sharp edge right there. And I want to be able to put my finger right here. I don't want to worry about cutting myself while I'm using it, so I'm just going to go ahead and knock off this little sharp edge right there, so I'll have a spot for my finger. There, now I got a nice little finger groove to hang on to it. And if I was cutting a little limb or something, or cutting through a bone, it's a nice little handsaw. Let's do a little chipping on this and see what we can do. See how quick that chips down? And that right there was almost a ready-made arrowhead. And that's just a flake found on the ground. Like I said, a lot of times you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on these to have a usable point to work with, or a usable tool to work with. I just suggest everybody to keep practicing, and I'm going to keep practicing on my end, and from time to time I'll post another video and maybe do a little updates and see what we can make and make something else. This one's pretty close to the shape. It's real thin. Be pretty easy to flint knap down. Yep, it don't always work out. I'd just like to remind everybody to cherish your friends and your family, because what you have today might not be here tomorrow. Y'all take care, be safe, and God bless. Thanks for watching.